Whoa, dude, it's crazy how you appeared around that corner.
Oh shit.
I love your fit. Can you like break it down for me, man?
Yeah, for sure. So I got this thrifted, altered it a little, made it a little slimmer. And these pants from my brand, Rework Studios. Sewed them all up, made them all cool and all that.
Dude, nice.
Boots are also DIY. I put a little rope around them just to spice up the fit a little. Yeah, that's the whole fit.
Whoa, you have a brand?
Yeah, do you want to see how I make my clothes?
Yeah, of course. Let's go.
Hello, welcome back to Project Blue Mars. I'm the amazing Macario.
Yes, Macario.
And today we're interviewing him about his fashion brand, Rework Studios. So just starting off, Macario, a couple easy questions. How long have you been into fashion? How long have you been sewing and stuff?
Right, so I guess how long I've been into fashion is like a slightly different question than how long I've been sewing.
Mm-hmm.
I got into fashion like maybe a few years ago when I first got into university. So like 2-3 years ago. And I've been sewing since 2 summers ago. So almost 2 years of sewing.
And have you been on like the same setup since the beginning? Like have you had the same sewing machine or have you upgraded since then?
That's a good question. No, so I have my one machine that I did start with, the senior heavy duty. But then last year I was fortunate enough to get this one. It's a Bernina. It's a bit stronger. It's a bit better than the first one.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long have you been running Rework Studios?
Yeah, Rework Studios, I started last summer. I had the opportunity to be in a fashion show. So I was like, I need to get my name out there. I need something off the ground for this show. That was like August 16th. So that's when I started.
So not too long.
No, hasn't even been a year.
Since then, you've like amassed quite a following, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I find my sewing videos where I'm doing pretty good on TikTok and Instagram, so it wasn't too bad too.
And so why pick Rework Studios as a name? Has it always been that, or has it gone under like different names?
Right. Well, I felt like choosing a name that was like pretty straightforward, so that it was like easy to find. Because since like my clothing is already going to be like a niche style, I want people to be able to like find the business easily. I didn't want some weird name. Even though I did want one, I wanted one to be more practical. Mm-hmm. And then it was also my buddy was like, "Yo, just call it Reworks by Mac." I used to go by Mac, but yeah.
So extreme and simple, but like the designs are like the opposite of that. You know?
Yeah. The name is simple, so you can find the business, but then it's like, wow, you see the designs.
Okay, so move on to your designs. Like, what are your main inspirations? Like, it could be fashion designers, musicians, really anything. What like really makes you want to make something?
Right. Okay, well, recently, I've been really loving like. Well, I've always been on avant-garde, but that's kind of vague. I've been loving like, I think steampunk is the right word. Like steampunk, post-apocalyptic, like Maze Runner, like Divergent. I've been kind of pulling inspo from like those kind of movies that are more like fantasy, I guess. So I've been loving like those kind of outfits that are kind of out of the world.
Like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that's really hard to like capture with fashion, or like at least it's harder to make. For sure. Yeah,
no, definitely takes way more time, a lot more time spent in a single piece than just like, I don't know, other designs. But also another thing I focus on is like the silhouette. So I really like interesting silhouettes, and I feel like those kind of movies also encapsulate those. So that's definitely where the inspira's from.
And has like Rework always been like that, or has it like kind of evolved since the beginning?
Right. At the start, I feel like I was limiting myself to like what I could do at the time, so I was just like widening pants, cropping my t-shirts, cropping hoodies and stuff. But now it's definitely evolved, definitely more artistic now.
Gotcha. And like we were talking about yourself earlier, but could you tell us more about it now?
Talk about what, sorry?
Like your setup, like your
yeah.
machine, you know, got like new machine on there. Tell us about that.
Right. So I've got my senior heavy duty again at my other house. And then I had this Bernina. It's like an older machine. It's it's a lot stronger. And then down here, I don't know if the camera can like see it.
You can take a video of it.
Okay. But yeah, it's a serger. So that just finishes all the hems on the inside. It's that's my most expensive machine. I was lucky to have it handed down to me.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the setup so far.
I like the random hammer down there. Really
yeah, so I was talking about this hammer. This is for putting in all the grommets and the hardware.
Just to move on to like the designs of themselves. What is like the process behind making them? Like, do you start with an idea, or do you start with the materials and then move on to an idea?
I guess it changes because at the start of Rework Studios, it would be like, okay, go out, thrift something. It looks kind of cool, but like, what can I add to it? So I guess in that scenario, it would start with a piece, then the ideas would come, and then I'd see what I can do to put it together. But recently, as I've been putting out, or starting to put out like drops and stuff, it kind of starts with the idea, like an aesthetic first, and then how can I encapsulate that within the clothes, and then designs go from there, and then try to match all the fabrics and hardware and whatnot to fit the vibe.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And just to move on to like a deeper question, it's like, is the why of you do this? Like, why do you put all your effort and passion into this? Why pick this?
That's a great question. I feel like I've always been creative, and fashion is definitely my medium now. But one of the biggest things behind Rework Studios is I guess my passion for sustainability. I see lots of problems within the fashion industry. There's just like so many big brands that are outsourcing all their labor, getting cheap materials, doing everything like unethically, and I just want to help like combat that in a way by, instead of fast fashion, I want to slow it down. So it's now slow fashion, and in my bio you can see there's like a slow fashion movement, and that's kind of what all this refers to. Is like ethical production, smaller quantities, people keeping their clothes for longer, instead of like the traditional linear model where clothes are kind of made to be discarded. Like if you get clothes off Shein, or like, I don't know, just like H&M, like cheaper clothes are like, okay, you buy it for this one event and you don't really wear it after, and it's only made to last like a couple of wears instead of for long term. So that's definitely what I'm going for.
So do you see that reflected in your clothes? I know you've only been making clothes for like less than a year, but like, you see that, like, do you make sure that your clothes is lasting forever, basically?
Well, the first thing I'm doing is choosing like stronger materials. I try to avoid like polyester or like spandex blends, just because I feel like the rubber in those, like the plastic, it kind of wears off. And then it's just like the polyester is like quite durable, but again, not good for the environment. I don't really like how it feels either. But yeah, and then with all my seams and the sewing and stuff, I'm trying to use a serger whenever I can. And I'm doing things to make sure my seams are like nice and strong, so that those last for sure. But yeah.
And another question, so you thrift all your materials, get them all secondhand?
Yeah, so everything is thrifted, everything is secondhand.
Like even the metal pieces?
The majority of them, yeah, like I'll find jewelry, like necklaces at like Value Village, and then I'll just I've got like some pliers in here, like I'll just take them apart, and then I sew them onto the pants there. Okay, let me show them what it's on. Okay, so like something like these, like these pieces here were from a bracelet, and then I sewed them onto the jeans afterwards. But for all of the hardware, like special things like these, like I just went to like Bead World, Fabric Land. This is like that, like the smaller things that I can't really find.
Yeah.
But for the majority of it, like especially all the clothes, everything is thrifted secondhand, for sure.
Very well. So you really stick to like what you mean, you know? Like you have a lot of integrity with what you say and what you want your brand to be.
Yeah, most definitely.
That's sick. That's like something you don't see really with like a lot of, even like starter brands, like I feel that they kind of move away from what they were first like wanting to be.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and yeah, I do take pride in that. I want my brand to be sustainable, like for real. So there are a lot of brands out there who are definitely like, it's called greenwashing, and it's just when you say it's sustainable, or you say maybe you're half doing them, but you're just kind of stretching the truth so that your brand looks more sustainable, because everyone knows that sustainability is attractive to customers now.
And just to move on to like your future like goals, do you have any like put on the board goals you have in mind? Like where do you really want to go with Rework Studios?
Right. Well, I want Rework Studios to be my like full-time job eventually. I guess starting out right now, some of my shorter term goals are to make like 1K in a market in a weekend. It's like my next goal. yeah, like I want to have like a good channel of online sales as well as like in-person markets and stuff, like to be my main forms of revenue. I don't know if I want a storefront just yet. I might stick to, I'm hoping to have online as my main source of income so I can like travel around, or it doesn't really matter where I am. And then for in-person, I'm hoping to take it to Montreal. Like before I start a store or anything, I'm hoping to be there and set up shop there.
And like, do you eventually like want? You talked earlier off camera about like how you got into this because of the fashion show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want your pieces to be on a fashion runway eventually?
Yeah, like once I have like, I guess this next collection out, I would love to join like a runway. Like that's where I want my pieces to be seen.
So that's like pretty far deep in the future, though.
I guess it depends the size of the runway, of course. Like I won't be in Fashion Week anytime soon, but there are a lot of like smaller runways popping up around Edmonton like all the time. Yeah, I got invited to like 2 of them for the summer already, but I was like, oh, I can't sew fast enough. I don't have enough clothes to put in them, so I had to turn them down.
So that's really rough.
But yeah,
I'm sure there's got one eventually because your pieces aren't runway worthy. At least that's what I feel.
word, I appreciate that.
Cool. And just in conclusion, like any final shout outs you want to say to like, your fans of Rework Studios, any final words you want to say to the cast?
Word, I want to say thank you to Sites, to Sachin, for helping me through everything. I talked through a lot of stuff with him. He made my logo, helped me with content and stuff. And then he's just like, at that first fashion show, he was there right beside me, filming everything. And like, just, yeah, he was my partner through it. So yeah.
Well, thanks for watching. This has been Pocket Team Wires. We just say it's all the same. See ya.
Peace.
Great, man. Yeah, it was a fun.